All right, welcome back. We are going to go ahead and do our second part of the Chapter 1 Retake Review. Today we are going to go ahead and accomplish these two topics, 3 and 4. You should have already watched the first video, which covered topics numbers 1 and 2 on this list. As a reminder, these are the things that you need to be taken care of: watching the video, taking the notes, completing the review problems listed at the end of the third video, and then turning in those notes and problems to set up a time to retake the entire test. Let's get started. Our first topic today is solving compound inequalities. These are the two problems that we're going to go ahead and to take care of or to go through. So the most important thing is don't forget to flip the arrow when you multiply or divide by a negative. That's the most important part. Solving compound inequalities or just single inequalities is pretty much the same as solving an equation, but you have to worry about flipping that arrow. So let's get started on question number 4. We're going to go ahead and split this up into two pieces. This is actually two problems in one. So my first piece, I'm going to write negative 8 is less than or equal to 3x plus 1. And 3x plus 1 is less than 10. So I now just have two problems I need to solve, and in the end we'll put them together. So the first problem on the left, subtract 1. So I have negative 9 is less than or equal to 3x. Go ahead and divide by 3. Now I'm dividing by 3, not a negative 3, so as a result I don't change the arrow. If that 3 had been negative that I was dividing by, then I would have flipped the arrow. My answer is negative 3 is less than or equal to x. I like to put the variable on the left if I ever had to graph it. So I have x is greater than or equal to negative 3. That's your other option for writing that piece. And on the right-hand side, subtract 1. So I have 3x is less than 9. Again, go ahead and divide by 3. Don't change the arrow because that 3 wasn't negative. And I have x is less than 3. Looking at a graph of that, I have x is greater than or equal to negative 3, which means I'm going to go ahead and put a solid dot on negative 3 and an arrow to the right. And then I have x is less than positive 3, which means I would do an open dot because it's less than but not equal to positive 3. And when you are looking at and, you are looking at where do they overlap. And they go ahead and overlap right here in the middle. So I have an open dot on 3, a solid dot on negative 3, and the squiggly part is the overlap there. What I would expect to see on your answer blank would be these pieces here. What I would expect to see on your number line then would be this number line here. Number 5. Again, don't forget to flip the arrow when you multiply or divide by a negative. This one is actually already separated into two problems. If you notice, the or right here separates them into two problems. So go ahead and take the first one, and let's go ahead and subtract 9. So I have negative 4x is less than negative 8. Divide by a negative 4, and a little alarm should be going off saying, all right, I'm dividing by a negative. I still get x and I still get positive 2, but that arrow now changes as a result of dividing by the negative. Or on the second part, I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm going to change my color here so you can see a little better. I'm going to subtract 6. So I have that negative x is greater than 4. The number in front of that x is a negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 1. And again, because I'm dividing by a negative, I'm going to need to change the arrow. Here I have x Positive 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4, and that arrow flips. Now, if I were looking at my number line, I have negative 4, I have positive 2. Greater than 2 is an open dot on 2 and an arrow to the right. Less than negative 4 is an open dot on negative 4 and an arrow to the left. Okay, on your answer blank, what I would expect to see is this right here, including the or. And on your number line, I would expect to see this here. Our last topic would be the word problem. The problem says you deposit $50 in your food account at school. A full lunch costs $2.10. How many lunches can you buy before you run out of money? So what we're looking for is we want to make sure that we have more than $0 in our account. So I am looking for at what point will I still be having more than $0 or equal to $0 in my lunch account. So what they're really asking me to do is they are asking me, what are the possible number of lunches you could buy? So that's why I chose to do an inequality, because possible numbers gives me a range of values that I could be using instead of just one specific number. So I have $50 to start. My starting point is just a one-time number, so as a result I don't put the variable with it. And each time I have a lunch, I go ahead and I subtract off $2.10. So that is my change. That is my rate of change. I subtract off $2.10 for each lunch that I purchase. So here's the inequality that's going to help me find the possible number of lunches I could buy before running out of money or up until I run out of money. Go ahead and solve that. Subtract 50. And I have that negative 210 multiplied by L is greater than or equal to negative 50. One thing I forgot to note is that L stands for the number of lunches I could buy. So I should make sure I write that down so I even remember in the end what my answer actually means. Dividing by negative 210 gives me L is less than or equal to 23.8. Now, if you notice, I changed the arrow because I ended up dividing by a negative. And what this tells me then is that I could purchase $23 lunches or less before running out of money. Make sure that you understand what your variable represents and make sure that you understand what your answer means. In this case, it's the possible number of lunches I could purchase. Okay, one more video for you to be watching. That would be part 3. So at this point, go ahead and start that one up, and then you will have your review problems at the end of that video. Good luck.